Okay, today we are talking about how to find out if you have spiritual gifts, how to hone in on those spiritual gifts and strengthen them, how to know if you're blocked, like identifying certain blocks that are keeping you from strengthening them, and also like what the heck can you do with these gifts? Like, what's the whole point? Why is it even important? So, if you're interested in any of that, then stick around because we're going deep today. Now, I want to go ahead and start by saying that we are all spiritually gifted. We all have these psychic senses, just like hearing, seeing, tasting, and feeling. We all have these senses, right? And they're kind of paired to those as well. So, clairaudience, clairsentience, and clairvoyance are the three that we're going to speak about today because there's a bunch of them, and I ain't got time for that. So, these are the three most common ones. They're also my three most common ones as well. So, when it comes to psychic abilities, what's really connected to them is our past, our stories, our wounds. So if you ever feel like you maybe when you were younger, you had a psychic gift and you no longer have it, that's considered a block. But just remember, we're not going into that yet. We're going to go ahead and start with how to know if you have psychic gifts or spiritual gifts. Think about it. Go back. Think about the time where you saw something that no one else saw. You heard something that they didn't. You knew deep down in your gut and your soul that something was going to happen, and then it did exactly how you assumed it would. These are all clairs. These are all senses that we have, psychic senses. Perfect example is maybe you're taking a shower and you hear a voice, you hear your voice being called, and there's no one else in the house. Maybe your friend's speaking to you and telling her story, and you're able to kind of see in your mind's eye what's happening in the story. And then when you tell her, she's able to confirm the details. How did you know that? You weren't there, et cetera, et cetera. So these are just like little examples. I mean, some people can go as far as like, seeing orbs and seeing actual figures appear in front of their face and stuff like that. But, your story is your story. At the end of the day, that is a big sign that you have a spiritual gift, a specific spiritual gift. Now, the question is, which one's your strongest one? Because when you are able to review your story and decide on which gift or ability is your strongest one, that will tell you exactly how they're going to come through, how the information from your guides is going to come through. So speaking of that, if you're interested in strengthening your gifts, but you're not sure if it's even going to be necessary, like, what are you supposed to do with it? I don't want to quit my job and become a psychic medium. I don't plan on doing that. That's fine. What happens is these senses that you have, these psychic senses, can be used on a daily basis, just like you use everything else, just like you use your other senses. It allows you to have better relationships with people in your life. It allows you to discern whether the information that you're receiving is true or not. That is important, especially in the current climate we're in, with extraterrestrials visiting us more and more every single day, and outing themselves and showing themselves more because our planet has raised their vibration enough to see them. So, and I'm only going to give you a little bit of this, by the way. There's a little bit of information that I was able to channel the other day. At some point, we're going to get information from different alien races with different motives, different biases, different intentions. We need to be able to look within and be able to find out our own yeses and nos. And I say yes or no because, that's the easiest way to use your discernment sometimes when you're first starting. Ask a question, and as soon as you hear a yes, that's the answer. As soon as you hear a no, that's the answer. I'm sure you've seen it on TikTok. These yes or no questions that people are asking in these lives. But anyways, so that's why it's important, by the way, that we hone in our abilities. And as far as I'm going to take a step back here, as far as how do we do that? This is a big question. I teach this. This is hard. I get it. I understand how difficult this is. And it's tailored to every single person individually, like a fingerprint. How we decipher our own gifts is tailored to us. It is literally our own language. Just like you learn language in school so that you can discern and understand the information provided to you, it's the same way that you learn how to strengthen your abilities. You learn your language. So going back, what is your strongest psychic ability? How do you find that out? You think about your story. Are you mainly seeing? Are you mainly feeling? Are you mainly hearing? That's how the information will be received easier for you when you do ask your guides to provide it to you. Now, going into asking your guides. This is hard for people, and it's hard because of two reasons. One, because they feel absolutely insane closing their eyes and speaking out loud to something that's not there, that they can't actually see in person. And two, trust, the lack of trust that when they do it, something different will happen afterwards. You have to get through that. You got to get over the conditioning and the programming that they've made you, that they've given you. The subconscious programming that says that you're absolutely insane if you're talking to yourself. Newsflash, you're not talking to yourself. You're talking to your soul family, your ancestors, your guides, archangels, whoever we resonate with the most. But I say spirit guides because it is our guide. They literally want to help us. They are waiting for us to ask for assistance and get specific. And you can even put parameters around what you're asking. For example, you could say, close your eyes and say out loud, Spirit guide, I want to strengthen my abilities because I believe I can help the collective and help myself and have a better relationship with the people in my life. Please help me strengthen my abilities. But because my abilities is because my common ability is clairvoyance and I'm seeing spirits, I do not want to see these spirits 3 o'clock in the morning at the edge of my bed. Okay? You could put parameters around what you're asking. Okay? And wait for it to come true. And you have to believe it will too. Because it will. And you're going to be like, what have I been doing my whole life? I had an inner guidance system this whole time. What have I been doing? Well, guess what? You're starting now. It's okay. Don't look back. Don't worry about what happened before, because now you're starting. So what you're going to do is you're going to ask for assistance, just like I did. You could word it differently, however you want, get specific, whatever, and be prepared to receive the messages that come through, because they will help you strengthen your abilities. Now, here comes the tough part. This is the hardest part in all of this. And that is realizing that part of strengthening your abilities comes with healing your wounds. Any type of traumas in your life that have happened that you have not dealt with are going to come up. So if you don't want to deal with this, then stop right now and go on with your life. Just leave it. But if you're ready, you know that you're on a healing journey and you're ready to heal these wounds and strengthen your abilities, ask for them to come up. I'm going to give you another example. I knew I had a block, and how I knew I had a block was because when I was younger, I was seeing and hearing and feeling, and I didn't anymore. So I was like, okay, there's obviously something in between the time, and I didn't realize, there's something happened, right? So I was like, okay, guys, show me what's hiding in my subconscious. Help it, bring it up for me so that I can heal from it. And the next morning, I remembered 2 events that happened in my life, 2 major events. The first one was that I wanted to leave the earth early when I was 11 or 12 years old after being severely bullied. And the second one was being essayed in high school by a group of guys. Now, okay, I'm like, well, that's crazy. I completely forgot about those 2 events. What do I need to know about those? And I started thinking about it. I was like, the first one, when I wanted to leave the earth early, when I told my mother, she didn't respond. So I had to go within, and I had no choice but to be hyper independent, but to be, this person that was afraid to be vulnerable again because of that reaction from my mother, the lack of reaction from my mother, so to speak. So I had to go within. And in that moment, my inner guidance system that I didn't even know I had said, what can you take away from that event? My mom's a good listener. Not the best responder, but she listened to me. And I felt amazing. I felt so good being vulnerable with her and telling her. And in that point, and this is when I was 11 or 12, at that point, I decided to continue speaking to my mom, even though she didn't really respond in the way that I expected her to. I still continued to speak to her until the day she died when I was 31. So that's one positive that I took from that story. And there's a bunch more that I won't go into, but in the story where I was essayed in high school, what positives can I take from that? And I know it sounds really weird when you say it like that, but the negative was I started covering myself up and being afraid to be my feminine self because of my large breasts and, all the things that attracted me to these people that were giving me this negative attention that I didn't want. So the positive from that was that soon after that, I would say not even soon after, I'm sorry, it's probably been like 15 years actually, I decided to be comfortable in my own skin and wear shirts like this that showed myself, my chest, and wore it confidently after going through that time in my life where I felt like I needed to cover up. So that's a positive, being resilient, having gone through these things. And that's just 2 events. I can only imagine what's kind of like hasn't come up yet that I haven't asked for. But one of the things I can say is when I went through that story, when I reviewed my story, it was almost like, how a water hose is kinked and the water stops running because it's kinked. It was like, as soon as I started reviewing my story and finding the truth in really what happened, it was like the water hose slowly started unkinking and the flow of water went through easily. That's how it felt. It felt like my Kundalini was rising. It felt like my heart chakra was expanding. It felt like this flow of energy from my sacral chakra all the way to the top of my head was just flowing through completely naturally, unblocked. This is what will happen to you when you're ready to do the work. And when you're unblocked is when those psychic abilities, those spiritual gifts that you were born with will flow through easily. So going back to why this is important, we are in the age of Aquarius very soon. This is the age of innovation, technology, content creation, being creative in general. People are shifting their careers to the things that they've been wanting to do for the longest time. They're ending their marriages, they're ending their partnerships, they're doing things that they no longer fear. Doing things that they once feared in their life, and they're jumping. And this is going to continue in the next few years. But what also is going to continue is this opening of portals and flow of energy. And there's portals in the ocean, by the way. I'll tell you about that in another video. But what's going to continue is this flow of energy and this sort of awakening that's happening in humanity. And there's going to be so much information from different sources. We need to be able to look within instead of looking for external validation. And I know it's strange for me saying that as a psychic medium who meets with people every single day. It helps them connect with themselves, but also helps them connect with their loved ones. I've realized that until you feel comfortable doing it yourself, it's okay to ask for help, but just take it with a grain of salt. Remember, my truth isn't the same as your truth. My truth is based on my experiences, based on my reality, based on my new earth, based on my current theme of consciousness, just like you. So this is important. We need you. We need you to strengthen your abilities, okay? I feel like I'm recruiting right now. Like, come on. So if you're interested in doing everything I just said and it resonates with you, then go to my website, work with me one-on-one, connect with me, please. Get my free ebook if you want to just stick your toe in and, see if the water's warm. I don't mind. My free ebook on my website. It's free. All you have to do is subscribe to my newsletter, and that's it. So again, I'm going to go through it one more time. I'm going to summarize this for you, okay? We all have psychic abilities. We all have spiritual gifts. In order to strengthen these, the first question we need to ask ourselves is which one is our strongest one? And that is based off of your story. Review your story. What has happened mainly for you? Are you seeing, hearing, knowing all 3? Whatever. That's how you'll receive the information from your guides when you ask for assistance. When it comes to asking for assistance from your guides, get rid of the subconscious programming that you have. Don't be afraid to speak out loud. Trust that the information you're getting is true because it's coming from your highest self, the self closest to source energy. And last but not least, if you know you have a block, understand that you are going to have to review your story and you're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to start your healing journey when you're ready for it. Little by little. It doesn't all have to be at once. Okay? So again, if you want to work with me, go to my website, connect with me, and I appreciate you watching this video. If you got this far, you're freaking amazing. Thank you so much. Also, I'm going to be recording and vlogging my travels around the world where I teach others. I do, readings, and I just really do really fun stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of like floating and with my cat. So if you're interested, then make sure that you subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like this video. Peace.